Among Us! Among Us!
Today we're going to be talking about the San Diego Comic-Con Street Sharks 30th anniversary Ripster, a Shark Among Us version. Alright, so up first I'm going to gush about the box. Here's the timestamp if you want to skip straight to the figure review. I am sorry, but this box is beautiful. I love the artwork. I love the shiny images on there. I'm forgetting the name of what that's called. But the artwork in general just looks fantastic. It's got such a feel and vibe to it that reminds me of my childhood. Once you remove the slip sleeve, though, you're going to get a nice little read-up on the episode of Shark Among Us, as well as some artwork and everything. Very beautiful artwork, just like the rest of the box. Pause here if you want to read it. And every side of this box just looks fantastic. I mean, even just this one image of Jab running, it just looks cool. The front of the box obviously isn't going to look that crazy without the diorama inside of it, but that, I gotta talk about that separately. Love the broken wall images with the open window and such. And I'm just super appreciative of the fact that Mattel is going, pretty hard for something like Street Sharks that is now 30 years old and really hasn't been in the major public eye for a better part of those 30 years now. But now we gotta talk about the diorama on the inside. This is so beautiful. It is so lovingly detailed. I mean, you look at the pool table, you see some pool balls and shit. You got another guy approaching it as if Ripster's playing a game with him. You got stuff going on in the background. You've got little tiny details going on. It's just so cool. And another little detail that I love about this little pool table over here is that it's got the overhanging light over it. I could sing this little diorama's praises for the entirety of the video, but let's just continue on. Ripster will be standing at over 6 inches tall. And in terms of paint and detail, believe it or not, this figure does differ from the figure we took a look at not too long ago. I'm serious. As a shark attack. Right up front, Ripster is going to have some deeper blues for his skin and a nice baby blue for the underbelly color. The belt, pants, and shoes over here are going to be mostly the same as the original figure. We're still going to get a fantastic amount of detail strewn about on these pants. Same for the boots as well. Yes, most of the differences are going to be with the figure itself, its accessories, and the fact that he's wearing a leather jacket. And not for nothing, I know this is fake leather, but it looks pretty close. I like that they actually included zippers for the jacket. That's just a fun little touch. And so far, this jacket hasn't stopped me from posing the figure or using any of its gimmicks. Case in point, let's open them. Yeah, the paint on the teeth ain't as clean as they were on the original, and unfortunately at the corner of Ripster's mouth over here, it is starting to show some wear and tear. I had the same problem with Jab from the initial release, but ever since then, it hasn't gotten any worse. The detailing on the teeth is going to remain mostly the same. The paint and detailing on the inside of the mouth is mostly going to remain the same. And just like standard Ripster, I am going to have some random white paint over here, as well as inside of the mouth. Let's just get this arm up for a punch real quick. You can still wind him back and BAM! Get a good punch out of him. Although I do feel this spring-loaded punch isn't as punchy as the original figure was. For example, yeah, it really does seem to vary per figure. Not that I mind at all. Ripster's still going to be ripped like AMF, and he's still going to feature the gill details, the nicks above his mouth, the lovingly painted eyes, and everything in between. Paint and detail-wise, I'm gonna give this dude 2 solid stars. He does exactly what this figure did, just with a couple extra bells and whistles. Speaking of which, one of his accessories being this pair of sunglasses. Not too much to say here, except that they're near the same color as his skin, just a shade lighter, and they fit on his head just fine. Pretty sure you just fit them into the folds of the gills over here, and boom, look at that cool shark. And up next, we've got Ripster's Explosive Super Q. Would have been 35 out of 30 stars if they included a detail and a little bit of paint for the switch at the hilt over here. To give a brief synopsis on this episode, it's your typical kids don't do drugs episode. All the teenagers are all roided out, and it turns out they're taking this little blue pill called Super Blues. Makes them all look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, just totally jacked. So to bust the lid wide open on this little drug scheme, Ripster goes undercover as a Super Blue user. One of the major bases of operations is actually in this bar, which he goes into undercover, and he plays a game of pool with his explosive Super Q. One thing leads to another, another, an entire factory is destroyed and the drug dealer is apprehended by the police. Don't do drugs. And here's the explosive part of that there Super Q, and wow, this does feel a little bit, much. Love the differentiation of colors, though. Very, very nice. Granted, I don't think the explosion was ever this big in the show, but screw it. You can enter the explosive Super Q right into the back door entrance of the explosion, and boom, you're all set up with the explosive Super Q. All you gotta do after that is just firmly grasp it in his hand, and the Shark Among Us look is complete. Although I will say, maybe don't display him with the explosion on the tip of the Super Q. As you can see, it's already starting to kind of bend. You're much better off just displaying him like this. Which I'll give this guy another solid star in terms of accessory inclusion. From what I read, A Shark Among Us is actually a fan favorite episode, so the fact that Mattel went out of their way to make a variant of Ripster for that specific episode is actually quite cool of them. Now, before anybody got a proper look at the overall listing for this thing, the number one question I kept seeing repeated was, can the jacket come off? Well, thankfully, Mattel includes some instructions to tell you how to get the jacket off and back on, just in case you want to take his pants off and jacket. These instructions also let you know that the mouth opening gimmick and the punching gimmick still exist on this figure, as I've already shown. So just give his fists a gentle-ish pull. Honestly, they're easier to get on than they are off. I can relate. And then just make sure his arm is nice and straight, a bit close to the body, and the jacket will slide right off. Do that for both sides and your Street Shark will be shirtless. Reapply the fists on the correct hands, making me regret what I said earlier about it's easier to get them on than off. And now we can take a full look at the rest of the figure, and you can see no laziness was present when making this figure. The arms are still detailed, they are a deeper color of blue, a brighter color of blue at that, and we're still going to get ripped muscle action, yes. I know I already said it, but solid star. I mean, yes. Now for a quick comparison, here is the Shark Among Us version in comparison to the standard version of Ripster from the 30th anniversary of releases, and yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. A brighter metallic blue versus a darker metallic blue. It really does work out, and it took me until actually getting the figure in to realize that his underbelly will be baby blue and not this tannish white color. Honestly, cool stuff. It's, again, one of those things Mattel didn't need to do, but they did, and that's awesome. With all that said and done, size comparisons. Shokugan, movie, king-sized, HG, sham, new Ripster, new Slash, new Jab, some older Street Sharks figures from childhood, Hot Shot. His review will come out eventually. Before we get the jacket back on, since it is a piece of cloth, it's going to restrict some of the articulation in the arms. So the arms can move all the way out and back in. They can fully rotate all the way around. We will get a bend at the arms, as well as a swivel. The wrists aren't affected by the jacket, but since we're here, full swivel at the wrists, bend in and bend out at the wrists. Now let's get that jacket back on. Look at that handsome fella. The legs can kick forward about that far. They can move out about that far. The legs can kick back, that far. We will get a lovely bend at the knee. Something I believe I missed last time was an actual swivel at the knee as well. And another thing I missed last time with Ripster is hinges at the ankles. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but that blew my mind getting this guy out of the box for the first time. And you'll still get a swivel out of those ankles as well. And yeah, I checked. This one has it too. There you go, you can see it now. Missed it entirely. That's a solid X for me for that oversight, but a solid star in terms of articulation, leading us into posability. It's not the most grandiose thing in the world. I don't think anybody who was buying these was really expecting much. But once again, it's better than what we got in the 90s. And it feels nice being able to pose Ripster with some accessories and a change of clothes and everything. It's cool. It's a fun little inclusion. The super fans of Street Sharks, young or old, are definitely going to be all over this. And with the added explosion effect and the pool cue, This is a win for me. It really is. This might even be one of my favorite figures of the year simply because of just like the getup and the inclusion. Thank you, Mattel. I quite love Among Us Shark, and considering he was $40 before shipping, $50 afterwards, and considering that I got it literally 2 days after I ordered it, I ain't mad. I ain't mad in the slightest. I hope this isn't the only exclusive we end up getting, because New York City Comic Con is just around the corner. But anyway, I've been ShinRobjira. Thank you all so much for watching. Please make sure to check out my social media, and at some point next week, I will get to the 30,000 subscriber special. I know I said it last time, but I'm saying it now. I promise. The only thing that's going to stop that from showing up on the channel is Limited Movie Monster Series Zilla, which shipped. Okay, it might be another week. I don't know. We'll see. Bye!